a new, very special project at Green Aqua. In a sunny afternoon, I'm sitting at home, taking a nap, in a couch in front of my TV. Apple TV goes to a screensaver. The moment that I open my eyes, I see the most beautiful underwater world. I call Tommy instantaneously and I tell him, Tommy, I like this. We need to do this. The kelp forest in itself would be probably not as interesting as...
Yeah, it would be basically just a bunch of straight plants on sand. And that's not too exciting, and well, you wouldn't need help for that. But yeah, we decided to build a complete valley behind with, well, hopefully quite a lot of perspective.
Okay, Tommy, the Iwagumi guy, is here. So he's here to help with gluing lots of rocks. So stay with us, very interesting project coming up. We are not going to glue inside the tank.
Yes, we are going to glue inside the tank.
Did I say not?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
I want all this to actually raise towards the middle.
I got it.
This line, and
Okay,
this
I
breaks
got
it
you.
up.
Chef Balázs is preparing the food for today. The food for today is the gray colored Impa glue.
It's just a filter bag with small pieces of lava rocks inside. If you put these in and you start building on top, then you don't lose the curvature you need.
Do you want to mark the golden ratio point somehow?
I think we should aim for about here.
I like that. Stop. Don't do anything. Stop. Just leave it like that. Perfect.
We decided to use white rhino, which is quite flat, and we can actually use it horizontally on top of each other. Basically, we want to create a wall which curves towards the middle. We need to be careful not to have it perfectly in the middle.
Yeah, these start to look great. If it doesn't collapse, it's gonna look good. Here we go again. For the 1000th time, Tommy holding some rock on camera.
We need here to create some space.
We're gonna look for let's see, flat stone.
Tommy, just be here only to...
There we go again. For the 1000th time, Tommy holding some rock on camera.
So the left side is almost done. We have the curve that we wanted. Might need a few more flat rocks on top. On the right side, we're actually at the level where we started curving in on the left. So that's what we need to take care now on the right as well. Has to start coming in. And yeah, we truly want big shadows actually in the tank.
Yeah.
I never know if he actually likes it or just giving up.
No, I like it.
No, this is really good. I like this.
Actually, I already did Iwagumi. You were still sucking your thumb when I was doing Iwagumis.
Still you can do it better than I do. Now the right side is just slightly lower than the left, so we need the final layer of stones to get to the water level.
Guys, you should make like a picture or an image that looks at the tank from the back so that you see how much glue we actually apply to it. This is like the third canister.
This should be higher, or that should come over.
It should be coming forward. But right now it's not coming forward.
That's not what I was asking.
This aquarium is a maintenance nightmare for sure. But sometimes you need to do certain tanks that are not easy to maintain but look good.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you want him to do a maintenance session on this tank later on.
Just trying to do stuff here.
Just come here in the back and look at it.
Okay.
Just look at the ratios of the whole thing.
So if that is a big bay, then the trees are too big on top. I agree. If we use bonsai trees on top, on the other hand,
It would be still too big. A whole tree would be out of ratio. What you could have is like small sticks sticking out and build out a forest or something. That would be in ratio if it's a bay. And if you want to do the kelp foresting, then it's a bay. You can do this, but then you lose the kelp forest. So now we are at a point where we don't yet agree how to move forward. So we're actually going to sleep on it. We're going to come back later and finish once we decided.
Believe it or not, 1 week has passed by since the last shots.
And he hasn't changed clothes.
Well,
Ever since.
I washed them. But actually, there's some glue that I couldn't wash out. I wanted to explain to you what kind of technology we have with this tank. We have the ADA solar RGB lights on top. We have obviously a pressurized CO2 system underneath this tank with the pressure reducer and also an external reactor. And we have a 2080 Eheim filter, which is the professional 3 filter, and that's been running for about...
It's over 10 years old. We brought it from the old shop. It's been running and we decided that it served its purpose. And we're going to modernize the gallery and we're going to introduce the new Eheim Professional 5E filter, which is Wi-Fi connected and later on it can communicate with another CO2 system and so on. So
and it can also alert you when you need to
it lets you know
clean
when you
it.
need to clean it, so we don't just randomly clean our filters anymore.
Let's talk about the filter in and outflows, because we're going to have them glass in and outflows obviously as usual, and we're going to have them in the back.
And with the E-filter we can actually precisely control the flow in the aquarium, so it's not just doing it with the flap on the adapter, but it's actually electronically controlled. So in this case we're going to definitely need it because the big wall, it's going to be tricky with the flow.
It will obstruct it a little bit. What I did is I broke this when I was trying to push this whole thing back.
He was trying to prove that it's not going to break, so he did break
I failed
it.
miserably. Let's just put this whole thing in there.
And
There you
cut
go.
from the top.
Yeah, all the way down, and then we cut from the top.
Okay, so now I think if we
Now we glue it.
on top and then we fill
Absolutely.
it on the bottom with the soil, it's going to be fine. I think we should use some power sand underneath the soil to prevent the soil clogging up on the bottom. Actually, it was Maki, our maintenance team member, who said that if we put too much soil behind it, it's going to push the whole hardscape towards the front, and he's right.
Yeah, he's right.
So what we decided is we're going to have not a low amount of soil,
Maybe
but
10
not too
centimeters.
much. And then we're going to have some stem plants behind. We actually decided to use Myriophyllum matogrossense, which when it hits the water surface, some of its leaves start to stick out. Good?
Good.
Good. Sand.
Sand.
The tricky thing with the sand is that we want it to be as thin as possible in the front, but about this deep in we want to plant, which needs height. So
the sand will be a little bit higher
so when
than
I
usual.
said as thin as possible,
This is the
it's
possible.
not going to be thin.
No.
See, sometimes we agree. I feel bad for the maintenance guys now.
You do?
Yeah, this is, well, not the most comfortable I've been in my life. Okay. That's it for the hardscape.
The first batch of plants is here. This is the Egeria densa, which was modified to look more like a kelp.
Yeah, so
And
when
this
you look
will
at the
go-
original, it's like you see stem and then a few leaves, then stem, then a few leaves. So that's what we try to mimic, which is going to be impossible to keep like this.
Yeah, we can also, like, when take it out, trim it like this and then put it back.
He's going to do that.
Maintenance guys will
every
do it.
week he's going to do that.
And then we have the Matogrossense for the back. And then we have some Cryptocoryne parva.
We don't want to wet the sand. We're only going to wet the soil in the back as we usually do for planting. But actually when you plant in sand, it's easier when the sand is dry, because once you make it wet, it actually it starts sticking.
The seaweed, that will grow in like patches. So you have a mixture of seaweed and sand. So that's what we're going to mimic here. And we chose this Lilopsis brasiliensis because it doesn't need much light.
And it's very slow, so it's not going to run all around.
So the task for the maintenance guys is to keep these like in patches like we did now.
And if you want to keep them in a patch like this, that you can do, if it starts growing outside of that patch, you take a scissors, you put them down the sand and you actually trim it around and then very slowly pull out all the excess, and then you can keep these formations. That should go there, but
yeah.
I'm gonna break the hardscape
I don't know
before I reach.
who decided to do this. We did. I love sailing, and we go to the Adriatic a lot, and I usually just dive there a little bit to see what's happening, and the seaweed is growing like this. So I've seen quite a lot of seabed scenery like we're doing now.
All that.
Balázs bragging hour.
I'm not bragging, I'm sharing. So where should we put more of this guy?
Well, I'm definitely missing some from in here.
Okay, good luck with that.
Thought so. Is it in? Ugh. Okay, my hand is... I'm stuck. I know it sounds funny, but it's definitely not. I'm actually stuck.
I was stuck too at one point.
Okay.
You okay?
Yeah,
I was also
I am.
stuck at one point.
That
and it was
wasn't
not
fun.
funny. No fun, yeah.
You cut it in the middle of the leaf.
It's fine.
Okay, so when you cut Microzorum, you need to make sure that you cut it on the bottom by the stem, like about here. Because if you cut it in the middle of the leaf, it's going to start rotting back, the whole thing.
Actually, we need to start gluing the Ricardia now.
Okay, so what should I use the Ricardia for? You want lines covering all the glue, for example?
Yeah, just covering the glue, nothing else, I think. So Myriophyllum matogrossense, it has the very thin leaves, but it also has a very lush kind of growth. So I love this plant, and we're using it in the background to suck up all the nutrients and help us with the biology of the tank. But we're also hoping that it will grow out, as we mentioned at the beginning. Let me start gluing the top of the aquarium. So now, ladies and gentlemen, here comes the Monte Carlo.
You want to finish up with the moss? Thought so.
Last step, the Egeria densa. It needs to be everywhere.
Really afraid it's going to come up.
It breaks.
It wants
when
to
I
come
do
up
it.
without water, actually.
Let's fill it up and let's put it on the water,
Why?
because then it will stay in better. I will not plant in this line because I want an unobstructed view and to be able to see the end, the horizon. If you guys were wondering what kelp forest is, well, the name forest probably comes from us. It doesn't. The kelp do not form a forest. They just grow together, deliver the
look
same
like a
visual
forest.
effect like a forest.
It's going to be a nightmare to keep the bottom clean. I see that there's a bunch of moss has fallen down, and actually the leaves of the Egeria, we can still say that it was part of the plan.
Yes, absolutely. Do we need more?
For me, it's done.
What do you guys think? Let us know. I think we are ready, Tommy.
Obviously, we're going to fill it up completely and start filtration and so on.
The fish will be the black phantom tetras because they will be swimming nicely in between the stem plants in the foreground. I'm glad that we have this creative tank ready. Guys, let us know what you think. Please support the channel. Please support the video production. You know what to do. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.